What's up, Blockheads? Today we're going to be installing some Z-bars on
the 48.
the Harley Sportster 48. Alright, so today we are going to be installing some Z-bars on the Harley Sportster 48. This Blockhead does not like the stock bars, so we bought some 8-inch Z-bars and some new grips as well from Arlen Ness. I will drop all the links to the products in the description below if you guys are interested in any of it. We did buy a cable line kit from Burley, but we will be seeing if we need it or not. As per the format with working on the Sportster 48, Miss Blockhead will be doing the work and I will be directing. So first things first, we're going to be removing the controls from the bars. Basically the process should be removing the controls. We don't need to take this grip off since we do have new grips. We are going to take the throttle side off because we need to take the throttle cables off. We're just going to work on taking everything off. You've got a couple of Torx bits here and here. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, and go ahead and loosen this one. All right, and that one.
Oh, I got you.
So like I said, this is glued on there. We don't need to remove this because we do have new grips that are going onto the new bars, so we're gonna leave that. If you guys want to take that off and put them on your new bars, good luck. They're glued on there, so you can either get like a small screwdriver or something like that to separate it. A lot of people use an air gun, compressed air, and blow air in there to take it off. But your best bet is to just buy some new grips because they sell them, they're super cheap. I think the ones we got were like 40 bucks, but they'll last freaking forever. So she's gonna start it on this side. That's gonna be the same size. That one there. All right, so when you open this up, these are the cables for the throttle. You want to pull these sleeves down. You're going to have two parts where you can use a wrench on these. This is going to turn independently from this nut. You want to loosen this to where there is more slack on the throttle. When all this is together, you're going to have a little bit of play in the throttle, but you will notice that if you're holding it tight, whenever you pull it and let it go, it snaps back to 0, and then you have a little bit of play in it. So you got to snap back. That means it's at 0 throttle position. So what we're going to do is we're going to loosen the throttle cable lines to where that has a lot more play in it, so that we have some room to thread them out of the little notches that they're in. And then you're going to drop this down. So that's basically a little stopper.
Oh, I get it.
And then you're just going to go like that. And you can see that's already loosening all those up. So this is the very meticulous part where you are
We don't want to lose that.
Yeah, you don't want to lose these little tiny brass pieces that are inside. So like as you're turning it, it goes like that. You have some slack in the line. And then this little piece, there's a little notch right there.
Like a bracelet?
Yes. And you're going to kind of wander that around and that comes off. Now, these are not magnetic.
Now you just set it down? None of this is going to come apart, right? It all stays together?
Yeah, so that'll all stay like that.
Okay.
And then throttle side will come right off. So we have the controls off of both sides. Now we are going to loosen the top clamp and go ahead and take it off. We have the wiring all removed. And then once we remove that, we should be able to remove the bars. Now we do have the extension on here so that it doesn't hit the tank or the bars or anything. Once you have all those out, top clamp should be loose. You should be able to pull the gauge and everything that is secured by the top clamp up. It's going to be sticky. Okay. And then since the bars are knurled, which you'll see here, they'll actually be stuck in place until we pop them loose. Just like that. Stock bars off. Now that we have the bars off, go ahead and take the opportunity to clean all up in there if you want. So the bars that we have are dimpled, which means they have this little piece in them right here, and they should be dimpled to run your lines. Basically, you want them to be dimpled if you're not running the wiring internally. These are also knurled. So that is this little bit right here, and you want them to be knurled so that they grip in the top clamp. so that whenever you are riding and you pull back on them or press forward on them, they grip and they don't move as much. They shouldn't move at all. We're going to place them in this top clamp just loosely.
So you just line them up.
Yep. Thread in the existing bolts. All right, everything's just gonna be loose. You're not gonna tighten anything down right now. All right, so we've got the bars loosely mounted on there. We did tighten down one so that it would stay. The brake line is definitely not gonna be long enough, so we are going to need to utilize the Burley kit. The only thing we're gonna need to use out of there though is the brake line, because the throttle cables here, whenever we pull them up to the bar, they are long enough. And then the clutch cable here is totally long enough whenever we put it up to the bars. At this point, we need to change out the brake line. In order to change that out, we need to disconnect the current line that's on there. So to do that, we need to get the fluid that's currently in the brake line and reservoir out. We have this little Stockton brake bleeder kit, professional brake bleeder pump, used to suck the fluid out of there. And then we're going to undo the little barb here and suck the rest of the fluid out of the line. Take the reservoir cap off. It is a Phillips head screwdriver. Just remove the 2 screws on the top and then slowly and carefully take the cap off. Now that we have all the fluid out of the reservoir, we're going to go ahead and undo the little nipple cover off of the bleeder valve. And we're going to connect the vacuum hose here. After it's connected, we're going to loosen it and suction the rest of the fluid through it. Pump this to where it is at as close to 30 psi as we can get it, so that whenever we loosen this, it creates that suction and it will suck the fluid through the hose. Reservoir empty. The line is totally bled. To change the line, we're going to need to remove it, right? So we're going to be taking off the bolt here on the caliper, going to be removing the bolt that connects it right here, and then we're also going to be removing the bolt here that connects it to the reservoir. I'm going to loosen the bottom one first, and this one. And then this one here is just a clamp that is holding it, and we used a hex bit socket. All right, so there's another little bolt holding the brake line on, which is right there, which we're going to undo. And take this entire piece off, and then we're going to undo that bolt. All right, so learn from our mistakes. We didn't know that we needed to replace the brake line before we put the other bars on there, because, right, we didn't know the length. So if you guys are putting 8-inch, hell, probably even 6-inch bars, you'll more than likely need to replace the brake line, because the brake line is really not long on the Sportster, on this 48 especially. I think it's about the same on the Iron. Go ahead and remove the brake line while you still have your stock bars on it. We put the stock bars back on so that we could put the lever and the reservoir back on so that we could undo the bolts, because these bolts are really super tight. And so we basically got that off. So go ahead and undo all that, take that line off if you're going 6-inch or higher bars while you still have the stock bars on. All right, so new bars are back on. We're gonna reassemble the throttle side. We've just got this loosely back on here. Everything's gonna be loose until the very end whenever we finalize everything. There is no brake line on it yet. We're gonna get everything set up on this side, then run the new line, bleed it and all that stuff. We're gonna reconnect the throttle cables right now. You've got these little fittings you're going to put over the cable. You're gonna want the open end of that to be facing towards the throttle. And you're gonna roll the throttle back. Good, awesome. And then you just want to run that throttle cable through the channel that's right there. All right, and you're going to do the same on this next one, except this next one is going to be more difficult.
Do you have like little tiny pliers just to hold that?
Just these. There.
It's like, yeah, but it's like, no. It's right here. Got it. Yes. Oh my God.
Run this.
Oh my God. Okay, that's good. That better be it.
All right, so we loosely have the throttle housing back on. Whenever you're putting the brake lever back on, you want to make sure that these pieces line up right here. There's a little notch there. There's a little piece sticking out right there. Almost impossible to mess that up. But what you want is that whenever you're going to squeeze the brake lever, there's a little button right there that it needs to press, which you guys can hear. So those need to line up. Also, just to explain real quick, there is a dimple on the underside of this bar. So you want to run that line, the electric line, into the dimple and then clamp those closed. All right, Miss Blockhead, what part are we on now?
The grips.
We're installing the left side grip, which is the clutch side. So the left side grip, like I was saying, on the stock bars is glued to the handlebars. It's going to be the same with the replacement grips and the new bars. Some people use hairspray on this if you want it removable. Some people will use grip glue. Arlen Ness actually sends you super glue, not this one. They didn't include super glue in ours. So this is Harbor Freight super glue. Whenever you do this, you have one shot. What we do is we're going to put a little bit of glue on the bar. You're going to put a little bit of glue inside the grip. You're going to line it up, pretty much shove it on, and then make sure you push down all the way. We have been practicing for a little bit. You want to show them your practice? Sure. Yeah. Wow, you just ruined your bike.
Just kidding.
All right, so whenever you do put it on, if you do have grips with logos, make sure the logo is upright, and then you're just going to press on as hard as you can until you feel it bottom out, right? And then you're going to grab here, twist and pull up. Pretty much as soon as you stop moving, the grip is going to set, the glue is going to set, and that's going to be it. You don't want to put glue all the way up to where the grip goes. You want to hold back because when you push it on, it's going to push the glue up too, very lightly. I'm getting all artistic with it, dang.
And then inside here?
Yep. All right.
It's just me out.
Okay. Logo.
Oh, yeah.
Good, logo's upright, all the way. Hold your hand over there.
Now I'm gonna start.
Good.
Oh my god, I got on the outside.
It's fine. Twist in. All right, that's it. It's set.
Can we?
Yeah, so we can wipe that up.
Okay.
All right, just wipe off any excess. So grip is on there, and we're just reassembling left side controls. Yep, so you're gonna put that. All right, so we need a little more slack to tuck this line into the dimple there. So we're gonna cut the zip tie here and pull it in. All right, replacing the clutch lever with the mirror on it. You want to line this piece right here. There's going to be a little notch right there, as you guys can see. And it's going to line up with the notch that is right there.
There's like a little piece.
So now that we have the controls all back on, we're going to go ahead and run the brake line down. So this is the aftermarket brake line from Burley. It's long enough. It's for the 10-inch. It's actually made for 10-inch T-bars, but it'll work with Z-bars too. And then they send you these rings as well, or washers. With these, you want one on each side of the endings of the brake lines. You're gonna put the flat end on the reservoir and the curved end on the caliper, right there. All right, we have the brake line on. That's what it's gonna look like. You're gonna want the washer, and then the line, and then the washer, and then the bolt running through like that. Ran it down, and then we got it running to the caliper. And we tighten both those down to 20 foot-pounds. So now we're going to tighten the controls down and then put new fluid in there, which we have some .4 Motul. So at this point we have, what did we do?
We tightened everything down and we made sure it was even.
Oh, we didn't tighten it. We adjusted everything. So we basically, Miss Block sat on the bike. She adjusted the angle of the bars to her liking, and then we adjusted the angle of the levers to her liking. Haven't tightened anything down yet. We just snugged it down so it won't move. So we're basically going to remove one bolt, put a bit of Loctite on it, tighten it back down for the clamp so that the bars stay in the same position, and then we're going to do the same for the controls here in just a moment. All right, so we have everything tightened down now. We got top clamps, bolts, Loctited, and put a little drip of Loctite on these, even though you probably don't have to, but went ahead, tighten those down, tighten these down, those, and then these. For routing the brake line, check it out. You guys are gonna pull these off of your old brake line. That's gonna help to route the new brake line. There's going to be a spot right here that you're gonna put one on, and then the other spot is going to be right there. Basically gonna put that like that, right, and then route the line through it. Brake line is ran. We're gonna adjust the throttle real quick just so we get this out of the way so we don't forget it, and then we're gonna add some fluid. So adjusting the throttle back, you're going to tighten it back by doing that, and then you're gonna re-tighten the nut so that it doesn't move. And then so they don't rust out, it's just to add a little spray WD-40 on here, and it'll keep the rust out. We have the throttle cables adjusted, good to go. Snaps back to 0. At this point we're going to add the brake fluid and fill the line. Got a napkin here just to be extra careful while we're filling the reservoir. We're going to connect the brake vacuum thing to the caliper, pump it up to about 20 psi, then open the bolt, suck the fluid in, and just slowly rinse and repeat until it's filled up and there's no air in the lines. All right, so now when we undo this, it'll suck out of the reservoir. Got the fluid ran through. Whenever we basically pump this up to like 20-30 psi, open the bleeder valve. No air runs through this. This air is actually just from, working back up the line. So at this point, there's no air in the system. Good indicator of that is that whenever you pull the brake here, whenever you press it suddenly, like that, you're gonna see it'll jump a little bit. That's the pressure basically pushing back into the reservoir. So you want to see that. That's a good thing. So at this point, we should be able to put the cover back on, probably top that off a little more, and then I think we're good to go. The reservoir is put back together, lid put back on. Now we just have to disconnect this. We're going to pressurize it so that when we pull the barb off, we'll pull it off the barb, it sucks the fluid in. All right, let's clean it up and get her off the lift. You gonna do the snap?
Oh, you want me to do it because your fingers are cold.
Good job. All right, so that is it. Took it for a quick spin. We tightened up the throttle a little bit. Everything works great. Front brakes are really good. Locked up the front tire and scared the shit out of myself. But that's how you guys install Z-bars. What are they, 8-inch? Z-bars on a Harley Sportster. What you think?
I like it a lot better.
It's like a 2-bearder, 3-bearder being the hardest?
Yeah, it's like a 2.
Yeah. So we'll get some pictures of the bike, throw them up right here. That's what it looks like. Yeah. Overall, thoughts and impressions, you like them?
I like them a lot better.
Good.
Onto the seat.
Yep. Next up, seat or air cleaner. Well,
yeah, that thing sucks too.
We got a lot of stuff to do. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, be sure to post them up in the comments below. Just a disclaimer, neither one of us are licensed mechanics. We just like working on the bikes. Do the stuff at your own risk. See the disclaimer below. If you guys are interested in any of the products, find the links to all of them in the description below as well. We'll post up a video of you riding with them, get your first thoughts and impressions and all that stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you guys aren't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button. And until next time, you guys ride safe out there, stay vigilant, and we'll catch y'all later.
Deuces.
Deuces.